Over the last few years, I've spent a lot of time talking about building wealth, going from 200,000 to over 500,000 in just 3 years, trying to prove that it's not too late to start investing, trying to prove that retirement is still possible even if you got a late start like I did. And recently, I hit a goal that I honestly wasn't sure that I'd ever reach, but there's something that I've realized. The closer that you get to retirement, the less you can afford to ignore the mistakes that you've made along the way. Because for years, there's one investment sitting in the background that I've barely talked about. Not because I forgot about it, and not because it disappeared. Because I was hoping that it really wouldn't matter anymore. And now, I'm not so sure about that. And today, I want to tell you all about that story. My name is Darren. I'm just a regular Canadian who used to think that it was too late to start investing, but I started anyway and I'm proving every day that it's never too late to build wealth. Now, on this channel, I've shared the portfolio updates, the dividends, the wins, the mistakes, and the lessons that I've learned along the way. But there's one investment that I've rarely talked about, and not because I was hiding it, honestly, because I didn't know what to do about it. And now that retirement is getting a little bit closer, I think that it's time that we talk about it. To understand why this matters, we need to go back almost 20 years ago. Now, many of you that have been following me for a while will know that my parents lost more than $1 million during the financial crisis, and it was absolutely devastating. What many people don't know is that I got caught up in some of those investments as well. And the important thing to understand is that I wasn't an investor back then. I wasn't reading books about investing, I wasn't researching stocks, and I wasn't buying ETFs. Honestly, I didn't know anything about investing at all. I had a defined benefit pension, and I figured that was my retirement plan. As far as RRSPs went, all I knew is that when you put money in, that it kind of helped you out with your taxes. And that's about the extent of my investing knowledge back then. Now, my parents knew that I had a little bit of money available through my RRSP, and they were trying to help me out. And they kind of believed that these investments would work. So I trusted them. So I invested along with them. And looking back, I wasn't making an informed investment decision, which is really important. I was relying on people I trusted. And unfortunately, those investments eventually collapsed, and I ended up with roughly $25,000 tied up in something that effectively became worthless. And for a long time, I thought that was the end of the story. And looking back now, I realized that it wasn't. Because even though the money was gone, the experience stayed with me. In a lot of ways, that loss shaped how I looked at investing for years. It made me skeptical. It made me cautious. And if I'm being completely honest, it probably played a big role in why I waited so long to start investing seriously. When I finally started this journey in 2023, I wasn't just looking at my accounts and realizing we were behind. I was carrying all of this history with me as well. I had watched what happened to my parents. I had watched over $1 million disappear. And I had my own $25,000 mistake sitting in the background. And now I was about to start putting thousands of dollars into the market every month. And that wasn't easy. For me, it felt like a leap of faith because I knew exactly what could go wrong. I had already lived through it. What changed wasn't the stock market. What changed was me. When I finally decided I needed to take retirement planning seriously, I started learning. And honestly, at first, it was really overwhelming. There was so much information and so many different opinions. So many people telling you what you should do with your money. But over time, I started listening to people like Ben Felix, who's on the Rational Reminder podcast. And I started reading and I started listening to other podcasts. I started trying to understand how markets actually work instead of relying on what I thought I knew. And something interesting happened. The more that I learned, the less scary investing became. Not because the risks disappeared and not because the markets suddenly stopped going down, but because I finally understood that volatility wasn't the same thing as failure. Markets go up and markets go down. That's completely normal and it's totally expected. It's part of the process. And today, I still learn every single day. I read articles on Blossom Social. I read articles on the internet. I still listen to podcasts and I still challenge my own ideas because I've realized something important. I don't need to be the world's greatest stock picker. I don't need to find the perfect ETF, and I don't need to predict the market. I simply need a plan that I understand and that I can stick with. And that understanding is what gave me the confidence to start investing at 50 years old. So at this point, you're probably wondering, Darren, if the account is still worth around $26,000, then what's the problem? And that's a fair question. The problem is that I don't know how much of the value I'll ever actually see. At least one of these holdings may ultimately turn out to be worth very little or possibly nothing at all. And because these investments sit inside my RRSP, that creates another layer of complexity. If I eventually withdraw money from the RRSP, I pay tax on it when I withdraw, and that's normal. That's how RRSPs work. But what I'm trying to figure out is how to deal with a situation where part of the account may never fully realize its value. That's the part that I'm working through. And it's one of the reasons this issue keeps coming back into my retirement planning discussions, because I don't want to make a decision today that creates a bigger problem later. What I do know is that I have more control today than I used to. If I leave this until it converts to a RRIF, eventually the government decides how much comes out. And if I deal with it earlier, while my income is lower in retirement, I may have more flexibility. And those are the kinds of questions I'm now trying to answer. And that's exactly why this is going to be part of my next financial planning meeting. There's another reason that this bothers me. When I first started investing seriously, I set a retirement goal of roughly $555,000. And recently I crossed that goal. And that felt incredible. But in the back of my mind, I've always had this issue sitting there. Because part of me looks at that portfolio and immediately subtracts this problem. I know that's not technically how the math works, but psychologically that's how I think about it. And when I look at my portfolio, part of me still sees this unresolved issue. Part of me still feels like a need to replace that money. And part of me still feels like this chapter isn't finished. And that's one of the reasons I continue pushing so hard. It's one of the reasons that I continue contributing. It's one of the reasons that I continue learning, because until I fully understand what the outcome will be, this remains unfinished business. So one of the things that I'm planning to do at my next financial planning meeting is to bring this entire situation to the table. 20 years ago, I didn't understand investing, but today I understand investing much better. But this isn't just an investing question anymore. It's a retirement planning question, and it's most certainly a tax planning question. And it's a decision that deserves more attention than I've given it in the past. So if you've dealt with something similar, if you've had an investment mistake that followed you for years, or if you've faced a difficult decision around an RRSP or retirement planning, I genuinely love to hear about it, so leave it in the comments. The irony is that 20 years ago, I didn't understand investing, and today I understand investing much better. The strange part is that understanding the investment isn't the hard part anymore. Deciding what to do with it is the hard part. And one of the reasons that I started this channel was to show the reality of investing later in life. Not just the wins and not the milestones, but the mistakes as well, because investing isn't really about perfection. It's about learning, adjusting, and moving forward. And sometimes confronting decisions that you'd rather forget about. This $25,000 mistake isn't the biggest part of my portfolio, not even close. But it may be one of the most important lessons I've ever learned. And if the story taught me anything, it's that your financial future isn't determined by your worst mistake. It's determined by what you do after it. If you'd like to see how I went from roughly $200,000 to over $500,000 after starting at the age of 50, I've linked the video right here on the screen. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.